holy crap. No, seriously, that's all I have to say. Like, holy crap. This was quite an eventful Royal Rumble pay-per-view WWE Network special. Whatever you want to call it. It doesn't even really matter. All right. All you need to know is that we now have a new WWE World Heavyweight Champion in the form of none other than the Game, the cerebral assassin, Triple H himself. Yes, Triple H himself. Roman Reigns is no longer the champ, and obviously the audience is really happy about that. But you know what? I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me just rewind a little bit. All right. I am your host, Neostarling, and I am on my new host here. My new show here. I'm so excited. I can't even contain myself. This is my new show, Neo's Theory. This is where I'm going to be basically talking about wrestling. If you guys have any questions, you can always just hashtag Neo Theory if you want, and I'll answer them for you in future videos. But in the meantime, I want to go over the WWE Royal Rumble 2016 recap. Okay, so this is the deal. Oh my God, this is crazy. So in the beginning, we had a pre-show, obviously, who was going to basically determine who was going to be the ones that ended up in the Royal Rumble. I was really excited because Damian Sandow was among one of the participants, and the crowd was really hot for him. But unfortunately, he didn't really get his just desserts. Even though he came back as the savior of the masses, it didn't really make a difference. Mark Henry and Jack Swagger ended up winning the spot, so they're the ones that move on. It doesn't really matter who else they defeated because it was just Jobber Central, honestly. But anyway, so our first match of the evening was Dean Ambrose versus Kevin Owens for the WWE Intercontinental Championship. And let me tell you something. This was probably, outside of the Royal Rumble, this had to be the match of the night. Seriously, because and this match had it all. You had tables, you had chairs, man. These dudes went at it. They opened the show up really well. They gave it all they had. They had this really awesome spot where Kevin Owens had set up two tables stacked on top of each other. They were stacked on top of each other, and Owens ended up landing through that. And it was a last man standing match. Dean Ambrose ends up gaining that victory after a hard fought match by both individuals. I give it up to both of them. They both deserved the praise that they got. The crowd was really hot for it. They were saying this is awesome. This was easily a 20 plus minute long match, just due to the nature of how violent it was, and it was just one of those matches where it's all right, this is what I'm talking about. You got a lot of your guys injured, but you were still able to put on a solid show, and I really appreciated that. So Dean Ambrose ends up beating Kevin Owens in this last man standing match. Moving on. Next was the Usos versus the New Day. And I'm not going to lie, there was a part of me that felt that there was going to be a title change. I really believed that for a moment. The New Day was going to lose, but they ended up winning. After Xavier Woods debuted his new trombone because his first one got destroyed early on. They had a pretty entertaining, pretty good match. Big E had this really awesome spot where he speared one of the Usos through the ring. And they actually flew pretty far. I was surprised the distance that these dudes gained. They gained a lot of distance, and it was really awesome. New Day actually ended up winning this match when one of the Usos, and I say one of the Usos because I honestly don't know which one it was. They should really try to, differentiate those two a little more so that we can tell in the future. But basically, one of them tried to jump from the top rope to do a splash. Big E caught him in the middle, finished him off with the big ending, and that was the end of that match. Moving on, I'm glad the New Day won because New Day rocks. New Day rocks. All right, please don't click off this video yet. Okay. Next, we had Kalisto versus Alberto Del Rio for the United States Championship. Am I the only one that thinks it's kind of ironic that you had two Mexicans fighting for the U.S. belt? I'm sorry, I just had to throw that in there. These two have been, fighting for quite a while. They've developed quite the rivalry. And it ended up culminating at this stage here at the Royal Rumble where Kalisto, ended up beating Alberto Del Rio for the United States Championship. And let me tell you something. Although I am happy for Kalisto, just like I mentioned on my Twitter earlier, it is kind of annoying how they're pretty much hot potatoing that U.S. title after John Cena fought so hard to pretty much bring that prestige back, because the reality is that title had lost a lot of steam. And when Cena won it, he was just giving everyone a shot every Monday. He arguably had the best matches of his career, 2015, just fighting on Monday Night Raw when he kept having all these newcomers come in to challenge for the belt. Anyway, so yeah, that ended up happening. Congrats to you, Kalisto, man. You deserve it. You're pretty good at what you do, man. This feud obviously will keep continuing because they will hot potato this belt a little more. Next, I believe we had Becky Lynch and Charlotte for the Divas Championship. And You know, they had a pretty decent match. I'll be really honest with you. The network kept messing up on me back and forth, and unfortunately, the finish of this match was not made available to me. If you guys want, on my Twitter at Neostarling, you can please feel free, because I really don't feel like going back to the network to finding out. Just at Neostarling, hit me up with their finish, or I'll end up reading it somewhere along the line. All I know is that Charlotte ended up maintaining her belt. I'm assuming with the interference of Ric Flair in some kind of way. And I did see Sasha Banks come out at the end. So, I guess those two will be the next to feud, which is good because everybody's been screaming for Sasha. Although I do feel bad for Becky. I really believe that Becky did deserve it. It's just not her time yet. Charlotte just became a heel, and they need to give her a few more wins. I think before she drops the belt to anybody, she's going to pretty much take down everyone that she can in the process. And with the help of Ric Flair, woo, it's definitely not going to be easy to do. All right, so moving on after that, we have our main event, which is the WWE World Heavyweight Championship 1 versus all match, which is basically the Royal Rumble. First time in the history of the WWE, or is it the second? I think it's the second time. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. But I think that there was one other time in history where that did happen. But anyway, I digress. Let me go back to what I was saying. This was actually a very eventful Rumble. I felt that with all the injuries that had taken place recently this year, that perhaps, they were going to have to scratch and claw deep to make this a decent and memorable match. And they did. They delivered. Thank you, WWE, for making sure that we got a decent Royal Rumble. Now, Roman Reigns came out first, of course. He was the one that they did the whole storyline where he came out first and he had to defend his title all the way at the end, just like Austin did when McMahon had him come in the beginning years back. So, they were pretty much trying to make Roman Reigns Stone Cold Steve Austin at this point. But we did get an exciting debut. It's funny because I was laying down in bed watching the Rumble, and I heard the music, and I'm like, wait, that music doesn't sound familiar. This has to be a debut. And it was none other than the phenomenal AJ Styles. Yes, that's right. AJ Styles made his WWE debut at the Royal Rumble as predicted. And let me tell you something. This guy delivered, man. The audience was so hot for him. I couldn't believe it. I got excited. I immediately sent out a tweet just letting everybody know, hey, look, if you haven't tuned into this right now, you need to get on, because AJ Styles is in the WWE and he is there to stay. I certainly hope so, at least. Although I am a little disappointed that he did get eliminated by Kevin Owens. It's funny because Kevin Owens eliminates him like somewhere in the middle, or towards the middle of the Rumble somewhere. AJ did last a little while, which is good. They didn't just kind of throw him out right away. Owens got rid of him while he was mocking him, so I'm assuming that the first feud is probably going to be between Owens or AJ. Or I could be wrong, because at the same time, a little while after that, Sami Zayn came in as well. Yes, Sami Zayn. So they were relying a lot on NXT talent along with former TNA talent, which is pretty good. I'm glad these TNA guys are finally starting to get the recognition they deserve. People obviously know who they are because that whole crowd was hot for AJ, and I can guarantee you, had he won the belt, which he didn't because he was eliminated, but if he would have won that belt, it would have been insane. Like the whole world, all of Twitter, all of the internet would have been going insane. I'm telling you, they would have gone insane. That might have been a good move for them to do, but they didn't do it. Either way, let me continue with the review. So Sami Zayn came out and ended up eliminating this dude, Kevin Owens. Yes, because they had their rivalry continuing from NXT, so that's probably going to continue. The Wyatt family, man, these dudes were just laying waste to everybody in the Rumble. Roman Reigns had gotten taken out earlier by the League of Nations. They pulled him out from under the ring, so he didn't go over the top, so he wasn't eliminated yet. They broke the Spanish announce table. They broke the French announce table, which I've never seen. They had all the announce tables here, and Rusev ended up doing a splash on top of Roman Reigns, on top of the Spanish announce table, breaking it, effectively taking Roman Reigns out for the rest of the match, or so it would seem. Right, because we all know that he didn't get eliminated. Roman Reigns was carried out, holding his side. I'm hurt. We all knew he was going to come back, though. I mean, come on, let's be real here, right? So that ends up happening. We had Sami Zayn ended up getting eliminated. He actually didn't stay in long. He didn't do much at all, for that matter. I really hope that he gets a better showing later on, because he didn't have a very impressive showing at all, in my opinion. The Wyatt family came out, and they were pretty much just cleaning house. They were just beating up everyone, tossing people out left and right. New Day had a really funny spot where we thought Kane had eliminated Kofi Kingston, and Kofi ends up landing on Big E, and Big E ends up riding with him like if he was a unicorn, and they're acting like unicorns, which was really funny. Mind you, while this was happening, my network kept cutting in and out. So I was able to see the video, but I didn't have audio for some reason. So WWE, you guys got to like step up your game. Seriously, because I am paying $9.99 a month for your service, and I would appreciate it if when you have high caliber pay-per-views like this, I can definitely get my money's worth. But either way, let me move on to the rest of the Rumble. It got pretty crazy. Brock Lesnar came in, and you know the audience lost it. They were just like, yeah, Brock's in. He's gonna beat everybody up. And Brock, yo, he obliterated the entire Wyatt family. I'm talking about Suplex City. He was doing belly to belly suplexes. With Braun Strowman, he was just clotheslining the shit out of him. He caught him with a couple of tiger knees. It's funny because when he did all those knees, I was just thinking of Sagat from Street Fighter the whole time. He's just like tiger knee, tiger knee. Anyway, that was really funny. Bray Wyatt came out, and you know we're thinking, okay, the Wyatt family's been eliminated. Bray's by himself, so what's gonna happen? Wyatt family still comes in because it is a no disqualification, and they end up beating up Brock Lesnar. This guy Wyatt hits him with his sister Abigail. Lesnar ends up going to sleep. They toss him out of the ring. Paul Heyman is irate. He's furious. He's like, no, my client. Even though they didn't really zoom in on him much, you can still hear his voice in the background, which I thought was really funny. That all happened. Roman Reigns ended up coming back when Sheamus entered the Rumble. He Superman punches Sheamus outside of the ring, running back in. Audience is just upset. They're just booing at this point. They're like, no, man, like it's a predictable ending, just like we thought. This dude's gonna like, you know, he's gonna win. We all hate him. We're wrestling fans, and we don't want this. We don't want this guy. So what ends up happening is that the last entry in the Royal Rumble match is none other than Triple H. I was like, what? I mean, I'll be honest, there was a part of me that was kind of expecting Triple H to come out, because let's be real here, like who else is going to come out that would make that much of an impact towards the end, right? So Triple H comes out, a lot of fighting going on back and forth, you know, Triple H and Roman Reigns, they both end up, they had like this intense stare down, sort of a la Dragon Ball, you know, where like the good guy and the bad guy stare at each other before they start their fight. They end up beating up everybody to surround them, and you know they just fight. They end up eliminating some people. It ends up coming down between Sheamus, Triple H, Dean Ambrose, and Roman Reigns. Surprisingly, Roman Reigns was eliminated by Triple H, and he is no longer the WWE champion. But he will get his rematch clause, so I'm guessing you know that'll happen in WrestleMania. But it ended up coming down between Dean Ambrose and Triple H. Now, the crowd was hot for Dean Ambrose. They wanted him to get this. They were like, yeah, Dean, let's go. And, you know, they went in. It was a hard-fought, valiant effort by Dean, but he ended up getting eliminated anyway. And Triple H is now your new WWE 13-time World Heavyweight Champion. In 2016, Triple H is your WWE World Heavyweight Champion. That is insane. Sparks fly. He stares at the WrestleMania sign. You know that classic iconic stare when they like hold the belt and they're just like pointing towards WrestleMania, like yeah, like I'm gonna go over there. So that's gonna happen. I'm assuming it's gonna be Roman Reigns versus Triple H at WrestleMania because he does get his rematch clause. So let's see what happens. Either way, I felt it was pretty eventful. You guys let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, man. Comment down below. Like this video if you appreciate it. Share it with all your friends. Word of mouth is the best way to get this stuff out. I'm your host, Neostarling, man. This was a pretty intense Rumble. It really was. It was a lot better than I expected it to be, and I'm glad it was. So with that said, you know, the show Neo's Theory right here, hashtag on Neo's Theory. If you want to ask me any questions, I will answer them in later videos throughout the course of the week. So please do not hesitate. Ask me what you want. Your questions will be answered, all right? And with that said, thank you guys for watching this Rumble. Thank you for watching this review. I really appreciate it. And that's pretty much it. I am Neostarling, and if you weren't sure before, now you